Hey, I'm Ray Latif with BevNet. I'm here with Jeff Kleinman. We're at the 2014 NACS show here in Las Vegas. As expected, there's a lot of energy drinks, sodas, all kinds of great brands that we've seen before and we'll continue to see again.
A lot of whoopie pies, Ray. A lot of whoopie pies.
A lot of whoopie pies. However, we are seeing a few new brands or new brands for convenience actually get into this space. You talked to a few of them. What was their rationale for wanting to get into this channel?
Well, so the idea here is that they want to pursue female consumers, they want to pursue millennials. I didn't stop by any booth from some of these, from many of these brands that you're talking about that didn't mention those two categories. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that they want a better lit store, they want a cleaner store, they want clean bathrooms, and they want products that aren't necessarily those that are aimed at male consumers. Mm-hmm. So on those, some of those brands that are sort of aspiring to meet what they perceive as the new consumer, the new convenience consumer, are folks like Sambazon, which is trying to sell an energy drink into convenience. Mm-hmm. The idea is that they're dipping their toe in the water. They don't know how far they can go. Right. Aloe, which is the leading aloe water brand. Mama Chia is here, and they're certainly a natural food stalwart. And even someone like Rockstar launching an organic SKU. They believe that these consumers are going to that they're going to meet the consumers where they think they're going to be. Right.
Yeah, and some of these legacy brands, you mentioned Rockstar, really getting into this space and really trying to address some of the trends that you see in terms of things like non-dairy. Rockstar adding almond milk to their roasted line. Even Red Bull, kind of seeing that consumers are looking for a zero-calorie or more zero-calorie options, added 2 new Total Zero products to their new additions line, that cherry and orange, both still using artificial sweeteners. But it seems like that's not as much of an issue for energy drinks as it is for diet CSDs. That being said, we did stop by the Coke booth and saw a focus that seemed to be a little bit more of a healthy, better for you kind of new products on display. What do you see over there?
Well, at the Coke booth, they've got this underlying initiative to cut calories by 20% overall across all their offerings that they just signed on with, along with PepsiCo and Dr. Pepper Snapple. So there's a real sense that they want to utilize their routes to market and their capacities to get brands that aren't necessarily convenience into the mix, or that aren't necessarily sodas into the mix. So, at the Dr. Pepper booth, for example, who's out front but their allied brands like Bai and Body Armor.
Neuro.
Yep. So there's certainly a push in that regards. I mean, I was joking with someone at Vita Coco. They were listed twice on our show guide, once at the Vita Coco booth and once by Dr. Pepper.
Right. Yeah, speaking of coconut water, we saw Zico is coming out with a new product at the Coke booth. We saw they're coming out with watermelon strawberry, another VEB affiliated product, which is Core Power. Coke is really pushing that brand pretty heavily, even aligning it with Powerade in some stores, doing those kinds of cross promotions. But speaking of Core Power, a lot of meal replacement protein shakes that we saw at this show. Some revamps, which Core Power is doing, but also Muscle Milk, recently purchased by Hormel. They're redoing their light line and calling it Muscle Milk 100 calories. I believe it's 20 grams of protein. What are some other protein drinks that you saw there?
What's interesting is that protein is mentioned as the category that's way up in convenience. Muscle Milk is still the category leader. They've got about 65-70% of the category. Right. Rockstar is bringing out a protein line. Core Power is up. Muscle Milk is way up in convenience. They're about 27% of the category now when you read it in Nielsen.
Yeah, and some of the new brands that you actually saw at the show were debuting meal replacement protein drinks. Organic Valley, for example, with their two products, Organic Fuel and then their other protein shake. Let's talk a little bit about coffee real quick. There's two sets of this new emerging coffee set, or RTD coffee drinks. One of which is that premium cold brew kind of set, and then the other is going after the Starbucks Frappuccino consumer, that indulgent, sugary, milky kind of drink. I talked to a number of different brands about that, and seemingly no one is afraid of Starbucks as much as you might think they would be.
Well, I disagree on the sort of creamy side, in that basically there's not a lot of room for more iced coffees. I mean, I heard that from a few executives, that it's sort of Starbucks, and then it's International Delight, and then maybe a store brand. But it's hard to get a lot of facings in that category, particularly in convenience, where that real estate is just so valuable. And Pepsi does such a good job of putting Starbucks products in the store. Mm-hmm. Now, cold brew, people are positioning it as a new category, and I think that's why they see a lot of running room.
Well, they're positioning it as a new category, but some of these brands that are in these cans, like a Kohana, like a High Brew that we saw at this show, are also sort of in the middle of coffee and energy. Even Edo N with their J Street coffee shot that's 150 milligrams of caffeine, kind of playing in both spaces and just kind of waiting to see where it all plays out.
Yeah, it's a different form factor. I think they're looking for people who are aware that cold brew is highly caffeinated, is very functional, and again that goes back to what these brands think consumers are looking for, which is function in their drinks.
In addition to cold brew coffee, as we saw at Expo East a few weeks ago, cold pressed juice is as hot a category as there is, and we're not necessarily seeing any cold press. I mean, we did see one cold pressed juice brand, that 7-Eleven's brand, that's getting into their stores, at least a test in California, but not a lot of brands in convenience are really getting to that category. They're butting up against that category with new super premium juice options, like Campbell's just did with V8. They unveiled this new super premium line that has a kale juice, a beet juice, a carrot juice, and they're also leveraging the V8 brand name to get into other categories as well: enhanced water, energy shots, protein drinks. What do you think about Campbell's strategy there in terms of juice and, well, I guess everything else that they're getting into?
Well, one thing is that Campbell's has traditionally used V8 as a pretty strong innovation engine. One of their biggest bumps in years past came when they started doing mixes of vegetables and fruits under a V8 banner. And that really got them some pretty good growth. Another thing I think that might be going on there is they're trying to take advantage of some disruption that's occurring in the Odwalla brand, which is sort of bouncing around Coke a little bit and has been unfocused as a result of a packaging change. Finally, I think Campbell's is looking hard at convenience as an avenue of growth, both because they need to grow. They had a really tough quarter, and Wall Street has been giving them a pretty tough time. But also, they are trying to focus the energy of Bolthouse against convenience, and they brought in both some of those baby carrots as well as a good number of their premium juice offerings. So Campbell's is, in some ways, just trying to position itself, again, toward that healthier consumer.
Clearly a lot going on in the convenience store channel, still evolving, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for right now. But stay tuned for a lot more coming out of this show, video and print. But for right now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.